So the last thing we're going to do today is we're going to click on this tab here and click render, which is where you can generate a realistic view of your products. Now, depending on your graphics card on your computer, this will either take a really long time to load. As you can see, mine is struggling a little bit. Bring in the tool, and if I zoom out, you can now see that my product is sitting here ready to be coloured in to render. And if I click on that shape, I can change the appearance, and this should bring up an appearance toolbar down here. And I'm going to apply at the moment to an entire body because it's all one product. And you'll see that you've got, if you just scroll in your library, you've got lots of different materials. Obviously, I'm going to select metal. I quite like the idea of applying brass to this, and I like polished brass. So I click and I drag that onto the surface. And start to see that that's already looking more realistic as a product. And I'm moving it into a way so that it will look nice when I actually click to render. Here I can set up the scene, the environment as well. So I'm just going to click and set up the environment. I want it to be slightly brighter so that it reflects the brass. The background, I want it to be a solid colour. I don't like the grey, I prefer it was white. But you just saw that, you could just set that as as an environment background, so there are different environments that you can choose in there. But I'm going to select solid colour. Flatten the ground and reflections. You can see at the moment I've got a shadow there and a bit of a reflection, so you just drag and change that. I've got a focal point from my camera, and this is where products are actually photographed to be used in advertising. So if I just keep playing with these tools here, you can see I'm changing the way that looks. I actually like the way that I've just changed the exposure. Depth of field, only visible later on. And I can add a bit of a blur to the product as well. Okay, you can, after all of that, if you don't like it, you can restore the defaults. And I'm going to also add in now some lighting too. So just drag the lighting and apply it to the product. Full lighting, and I've applied light to the top surface, means that you can't actually see much that's going on. So I'm going to scroll down and put some warm light underneath the product and some soft light onto the surface. And cool light over here. Rim lights on the top. Let's put some bright lighting onto the top of there. Okay. A decal will apply a pattern or a logo to the surface, and I haven't got one of those installed, but you could do that later on. And texture maps will allow me to drag. So click OK, the texture, and I could drag the texture across the surface. Right. In Canvas Render, we're going to render in the image that you're currently looking at, and I can also capture images, so I can take photos. If I click the big render button here at the end, this will do me a fully finished photograph worthy colouring of the product. So if I just click on there, you'll now see my computer will try and do a cloud render for me, and I'm going to click render. I want it to be standard. Here, where it says final, it requires credits. So this requires 0 credits, okay, or points, to be able to render it if I click standard and make it cloud. And then down here in this thumbnail, when it's finished, it will tell me when I can actually open that image. Now, this will take a long time. 1, the image size. 2, the processing power of your machine. 3, the graphics card that you have, because it is now trying to make a fully finished rendered image that you could use to advertise your product. So companies like Samsung use this to make product enhanced images. Okay, so this is a professional package that you're using now to actually colour in or render an image to create something. So you can see down there, it says a few seconds ago, and it's just loading. It's taking a bit of time. I'm going to pause and come back when that's finished. So I'm waiting for the render to happen. If you hover over here, it tells you the time you submitted, so 3 minutes ago. If I click on that render, at the top here, it tells me how long it takes. So it's going to take me 10 minutes to wait for that image to actually be created. Let's close that, I've been playing with some different materials by dragging them onto the surface. I quite like the black chrome. You should also know that your render, when you create it, it creates it in the way that you've laid out the screen. So at the moment, the rotation that I have sitting here is how it will be seen. So I'm going to click in Canvas Render. And you'll see it building that shape in Canvas at the same time. If you watch the bar here, it's telling you the amount of time. It's telling you the level that it's trying to get to, so we're not quite at excellence yet, and the number of iterations, the number of changes it's making to try and make that the most perfect image that it can in the screen that it has available to it. This is normally a lot faster, but at the same time, it's doing another render for me. If this causes any issues with your computer running, you can just hit stop here. You can see it's still trying to render and I can still see the full shapes not being created. I'm going to hit stop anyway. And if I click off the product, you can still see now that this render is still trying to take place. I'm going to click render on this product because I really like the colour that I've got. I've got cloud, custom aspect ratio, and I want it to be mobile. See, this one's loading in the bottom here. 6 minutes, it's actually taken it. 0.6 megapixel, 3.1 to 1 megapixel, 0.6 render. Okay, so it's allowing me to create another render. I click here. Now be seeing the final image there of, and I've got a really nice image here at this end. It's slightly blurred here, which is probably when I started playing around a little bit. I'm not going to do that because it needs credits. I'm just going to close. It's still rendering in there. You can see it's still trying to create a render over the top. This is the quality that I'm looking for in this one here. You could spend a really long time playing in this program trying to get a really high quality image. Fun.